The future of TikTok in America is hanging in the balance amid growing pressure from Congress. The House passed legislation yesterday that says the social media app needs to cut ties with its China-based owners ByteDance or risk a total ban. The bill is now headed to the very slow-moving U.S. Senate. So we want to take you to know some big questions here. Like, can this really happen if the Senate goes forward? How will it work if it happens? What will the impact be on the users of TikTok? To answer those questions and more, Nick Thompson, CEO of The Atlantic and former editor-in-chief of Wired, is with us. Nick, thank you very much for being here.
The perfect person for this
conversation. Exactly. All right, so if the Senate takes this up, what are the impacts?
Well, Senate would have to pass it, President would have to sign it, there would be court challenges. But if all that goes through and ByteDance does not divest, the principal impact would be on the app stores. So Apple and Google would not be able to distribute new versions of the app. They would not be able to maintain or update it. Eventually, the TikTok on your phone would turn into a brick. People would stop posting, and TikTok would kind of go away. That's what happened in India when they banned it.
It would slowly die. And then do people stop using that type of social media, or do they migrate?
Some of them migrate. Some of them go to Instagram. Some of them go to YouTube. Some of them go outside and read books and talk to their parents.
Yeah, you know, when I went to see Nick...
How about that?
That's a great idea. Guys, when I went to see Nick, when he came in, I said, this is never going to happen. He goes, you sure about that? And so it just seems inconceivable to me because it's too big, makes too much money for it to actually go away. And the main thing people say, it's a threat to national security. Is it a threat to national security?
Oh, it's absolutely a threat to national security. There are three ways it could be used against America's national security interest. One, all of the data. They know where all the users are. They can track individuals. They can track populations. You imagine a conflict with China? How useful would that be? Second, propaganda manipulation. You can imagine just putting a little push on the algorithm so news that's bad for Taiwan gets a little extra amplification. Or third, perhaps most likely, let's just make Americans a little more emotional, a little more angry, and you could do that through the algorithm as well. So there are legitimate national security concerns, and national security hawks are very pro this ban.
So beyond just the social aspect, there's an economic aspect as well. 170 million Americans are on TikTok. They're not growing users. That's interesting to me that TikTok isn't growing users. But for those that are there and sometimes depend on their livelihoods to create content, what does that mean for them?
Well, it means that they have to move somewhere else or find... I mean, it is a real economic impact. There are a lot of reasons why you wouldn't want to do this ban, one of which is there's a real economic impact. People advertise it, creators, they make their livings there.
Oh, by the way, the president is on TikTok recently.
Yes.
Well, the president may have gotten on TikTok in order for TikTok not to know that the president was helping out the bill banning them. It's unclear exactly how that went, but every politician should be on TikTok to get their voice out to young people. But there are legitimate reasons why you would not want to do the ban, including the economic impact, including free speech implications, including the legal fight that is coming. This could be a real mess if it gets through the Senate.
Why do we care, though, if they have the data? Most people think they're young users. Why should we care if they have the data of the young people that are using TikTok?
Well, it's not just they have the data, it's the ability to influence them. Right? You can imagine China saying, we would like the young people in America to have a particular viewpoint, and we're going to push that. In fact, one of the reasons this happened, I think, is because the Biden administration and the Democrats, who were kind of against a TikTok ban when Trump initially proposed it 4 years ago, saw public opinion, particularly among young people, shifting on the conflict between Israel and Hamas, and they blamed TikTok for that. They saw videos praising Osama bin Laden going viral on TikTok, and they said, whoa, is this good for American democracy?
I have to add one thing, Gayle, that our colleagues over at 60 Minutes have reported that TikTok, the version that's available inside China for young people there, is basically vegetables. It's science experiments, it's like library trips, and here we've got the fentanyl opium version, right? So they are already
aware in China.
That could be them, that could be us. I mean, right, TikTok is serving what people want. It could be a cultural difference, it could be all kinds of reasons, but it could also be someone turning a dial.
Yeah, but they're also not a free speech society, right? So they don't have YouTube, they don't have other social media platforms because they don't want them.
Right. Yeah. And the other social media platforms, it is so interesting because if you think about the other economic impacts, YouTube will gain a lot of users, but Google will have to pull the app and will actually potentially be leading the legal fight. So you can see Google, which owns YouTube, being extremely conflicted and a lot of people meeting with a lot of lawyers this morning.
Wow.
All right, well, it's in the hands of the Senate. The president says he'll sign it if it lands on his desk. Nick Thompson, thank you very much.